Okay, here we go. Hello, my name is Greg Arabian. I'm Judge Advocate and Public Information Officer of Post 41 AMVET's Paul S. Masubian Post in Watertown, Massachusetts. And we are interviewing today for an oral history our comrade AMVET Hovey Eordekian. And he was in the Army of the United States. And he was technician 5th grade with the 299th Ordnance Maintenance Company, which means that you repaired anti-aircraft guns.
Right. We were a roaming machine shop.
A roaming machine shop. Okay. Now, Javi, you were inducted into the Army by order dated June 8, 1943. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you reported at Fort Devens with a number of your comrades. Paul Masubian,
Right.
Miran Sabunjan. Why don't you read them off, who you were with?
Okay, thank you.
Here's a copy of that. Who'd you go to Fort Devens with around this area?
All right, there was a fellow by the name of John Connors. He was an insurance agent for Metropolitan Life, a very nice guy. He was in our company.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Masubian, Miran Sabunjan, Jake Malavanian, Bill Ishkanian, Winthrop Snow, Popkin Elkonian, Bobby Cohen, Joe Fafuza, Gunnan Chakamian, Dr. Jacob Baboyan, Eugene Killian, and also myself and Italio Tarraco, Joe O'Callahan, and Harai Hagopian, and Eddie Cousin.
Eddie who?
Edward Cousin.
Okay, these are all local guys.
These are all Watertown local guys.
Okay.
Were inducted at the same time to go to our local draft board to be shipped over to Fort Devens.
So you went to Fort Devens,
Right.
and from there, where did you? How long did
Well,
you
we
stay
stayed
there?
in Fort Devens for 4 days. What they did was they tested us to see what we were qualified for.
Yeah.
and
What
What do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
And what happened was we all qualified simply for mechanical reasons, so they put us all in an ordnance company.
What did you do before you went into the service?
I was just a high school student.
And you had no particular trade?
No.
So you were a high school student. How old were you?
I was 18.
And so they drafted you to go to Fort Devens,
Right.
and you had no work background, you had no educational background other than high school,
Right.
okay? And tell me about your boot camp or your training experience that you had.
What we did was we went to Fort Devens. They put us in a train with all these fellows that I mentioned, except a couple of them were left out.
Mhm.
And we went to Fort Bliss, Texas.
From Devens to Texas.
Texas.
Okay.
I spent my 19th birthday on the train going down to Texas.
And all these fellows were with you?
Most of them, yeah.
Most of them,
Yeah.
okay. And tell me what happened when you went down to
Well, we
Fort
went down
Bliss.
there and we got out of the train. We had hot uniforms, woolen uniforms. We were all passing out. We were in Texas in the hot weather.
Uh-huh.
Not used to that type of weather in the middle of June. And they gave us salt pills and we survived that. And
But you were still wearing your woolen uniforms in June?
In June.
Okay.
And what happened was we got to our destination, which was Fort Bliss, and we trained there in boot camp for 30 days.
Mhm.
At that time, we did hiking and what have you, and we were training for the desert terrain because at that time the Americans were fighting in Africa.
Uh-huh, okay.
So because of the terrain, after spending about 3 months in Fort Bliss for training, we shipped out to Indio, California.
Indigo?
Indio,
California.
California.
Okay. When you say you trained in the desert area of Fort Bliss, where was the desert around?
Well, it was just desert
hot,
around.
dry ground.
Hot,
yeah.
dry ground.
Texas
And
is
they
flat.
had mountains up there, and they wanted us to climb mountains to get in shape.
Okay.
Now, we were young kids in great shape, but there were a lot of kids that were 25, 26 who were out of shape, and we had an easy time of it.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
anyways, we go to Indio, California, and now we're training to fight in the African desert.
Uh-huh.
Dry country. I have some pictures there where we went out to the desert for 22 days without any communication, whatever, to survive. that type of a terrain.
What type of arms did you train with?
Carbine.
You had a carbine?
Carbine.
M1?
No, it wasn't an M1.
It was a
It
carbine.
was just a carbine.
Okay.
And it was an automatic gun, very light gun. But we were not infantry. We were backup.
Okay.
I never knew what an ordnance was until I got into this outfit.
Okay.
And you have the infantry, you have the anti-aircraft, and you have the tank divisions, and then you have the ordnance behind them.
Do you remember your instructors?
Yeah, I remember a guy by the name of Balicki,
Uh-huh.
Sergeant Balicki. We had a cadre from Connecticut. 20 guys from Connecticut who trained us. Our group consisted of a number of guys from Watertown, Gloucester, Manchester, Massachusetts, and Essex, Massachusetts, and from the western part of the state, Springfield and Chicopee. That was our company.
So you were all training in Indio, California. And
Fort Bliss and Indio, California.
did they tell you that they were going to send you to North Africa?
Right,
Okay, so you knew where you were going to go.
right. But before I did go to India, what they did was they sent me to Aberdeen Proving Grounds in October 1944 to train on equipment with the anti-aircraft guns. And it was used for level area without any trees or anything to offset the direction of the flight of the bullets.
Is this in Aberdeen, Maryland?
Aberdeen, Maryland.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Okay.
I stayed there for about a month, then I came back to my company, and guess what? All the training we did in the desert and what have you went out for naught because Africa was conquered by the United States. Now
Yes.
there's a different terrain we have to be concerned about,
Right.
and that's when the Third Army got together and we were part of the Third Army
This is under General Patton.
under General George Patton, right?
Right. Okay. So after the Aberdeen Proving Grounds, you
Yeah.
went back to Indio?
We went back to Indio and
Did you go back with all of your group there, or did you go individually?
certain people were picked out of the company to go to
Okay.
Aberdeen. And then we came back to our company, and then we stayed in California until about March of 1944. At which time we went cross-country to go to an embarkation place in New York. That was in March of 1944. Now,
Okay.
here's an interesting story. At that time, we notified our families that we're coming to New York, and that when we got there, they were going to give us a 2-day pass before we got on the ship. So my mother and father called Sabunjan family, the Masubian family, the Chicamian family, the Ishkanian family, the
Yeah.
Bob Cohen family, to come and visit my aunt in Bronx, New York.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And when we did get into that time, we were given passes to go there. And the only person that didn't go was Paul Massoud.
Really?
Yeah.
He stayed on board ship?
No, we were on a
You-
camp.
Yeah, I
We
see.
weren't on the ship yet.
Oh, I see. I see.
And we couldn't believe that he could make it because I guess he had some guard duty.
Oh, I
And
see.
his mother and father came to Bronx, and they were very
Oh.
disappointed that he wasn't there.
Okay. All right. So you all got together with your relatives?
We had a wonderful get-together, and that was the last time we saw our parents.
Mhm.
2 days later, we get put on the Queen Mary.
Oh, yes.
Queen Mary had about 15,000 troops. On that troop ship, it was Joe Lewis.
Really?
The,
Was he in the Army?
He was in
Army
the
uniform?
Army. He had 22 fighters with him, boxing fighters,
Yeah. Really?
and they were going to put exhibitions for the troops overseas.
Uh-huh.
And while we were on board ship, the Queen Mary, he did put on an exhibition for us to watch.
Wonderful. What kind of a boxer was Joe?
He was a world champion,
Yeah.
heavyweight. Great.
Yeah.
A nice guy, nice man, very kind guy.
Uh-huh.
And then it took us 7 days to go overseas.
Uh-huh.
We landed in Glasgow, Scotland, and that's when I personally met Joe Lewis. He gave me an autographed signature of himself.
Really?
Yeah. And that was the last time I saw him.
How did Paul feel when you told him, when he knew that you were going to get together in New York with your parents and he couldn't go? Did he
just
feel pretty bad?
Yeah, he felt bad. But I'll tell you who felt real bad was his father and mother. Oh, geez, they were disappointed.
Couldn't they go to the camp and see him?
No.
No way.
No.
Okay.
We were billeted inside,
I see. All right.
but we were given a special pass to leave that particular camp.
Okay. So you got to
Glasgow, England,
Glasgow.
Scotland.
Scotland. I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Then we took a train and we went down to Stratton-on-Avon.
Stratford-on-Avon.
Stratford-on-Avon.
Yeah,
That's where we
Stratford-on-Avon.
That's where we were stationed, a little town outside of that area.
Yeah, I've been there.
And we trained, we stayed there until July. Well, we landed in
March or April?
March.
March.
And from March until July 14th, we stayed in England,
This was in 44.
1944.
Mhm.
And
The Normandy invasion had already been,
already gone.
already gone about a month. Yeah.
We went down to London, we got on a ship that took all our equipment, and we landed in Normandy,
Mhm.
Omaha Beach, when all the roads were set, so it was like a circular thing to get all our
Oh, yeah.
equipment up on top of the hill. And we landed there on Bastille Day, which was July 14th,
Really?
1944.
Did you ever run into High Cartoonian who blew the hole in that concrete wall?
No,
You never knew that, did you?
I never knew that.
Yeah. High Cartoonian was a
High Cartoonian,
Yeah.
it's a wonderful man.
he was a combat engineer,
Yeah.
and he was the one who got a bandolier torpedo to blow the hole in the concrete wall at Omaha
I
Beach.
never knew that. I see there's something new.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
yeah, yeah. And he had quite a history. Unfortunately, we weren't able to record his history. He died. So where did you go? Where did
I'm
you
going
go
to tell you a
from there?
very interesting
Go ahead.
situation.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
What we did was we were billeted up on top of the hill on the hedgerows.
On Omaha Beach.
Omaha Beach.
Uh-huh.
And this is what happened. It's the first time I met General Patton, face to face. I'm going to tell you that story.
Yeah.
When we got off the ship, we were all dirty, our clothes were dirty, and they said, we're going to take you to an area where we'll take you a shower, give you new clothes, and get you all set for the next trip. So this is what you do. You come into an area, say about 25 by 25, take your clothes off, throw it in the bin, then you're naked.
Yeah.
You go in the next section, you take a shower, and then in the next section, they give you a new uniform, and you're fresh as fresh as you can be.
Right.
Well, the story that I want to tell you is that when we were undressed, this big fella and about 5 other generals come walking into our area, and guess who that fellow was? It was George Patton. We didn't know whether to cover our parts, a salute, or what to do.
So you were naked.
We were all naked. And he said,
Okay.
as you were. And it was just, you know,
Yeah.
geez, we were all, you know,
Yeah.
we just couldn't believe that it was him.
You were overawed that
We were
General
awed.
Patton. Well, General Patton wasn't naked. He was.
No,
He was in
he
full
had a
uniform.
silver. He had a silver handle bullet, the guns, and he had his shiny helmet and everything. Big, handsome fella, you know, full of freckles and stuff.
He was tall.
Tall, big fella.
Yeah.
And that's the first time ever. I met him 4 other times. I'm going to tell you that story too.
Yeah. What was the impression you got of this fellow?
A great leader. We
Really?
loved being with him.
Uh-huh. Okay.
We just
All right.
loved him. All right, so that's an incident.
Yeah.
Now, we stayed at that location for about 3 hours after we took our showers, and the next move was to start going down south and join the military group.
Uh-huh.
The infantry was down through St. Lo. I don't know if you're familiar with St. Lo.
Yes.
All right, St. Lo was just decapitated. That's all it was a street, and everything was knocked down, flattened out. And we ended up in a city called Avalanches, which is south, going right down France.
Yeah.
At that time, I never thought I'd come out of the area alive.
Really?
What happened was, the Panzer Division, German division, the tanks, making a counterattack, and we're going to try and split our company. And what happened was there was flares in the sky, the whole sky was lit up like a daylight, and we were mixed in with the artillery, we were mixed in with the infantry, and we were really scared. I mean, we didn't know what was
Yeah.
happening. And what happened was they had a SOS sent to England and these P-38s with the cannons, 38 millimeter guns, came and wiped the whole German Panzer division out and
Really?
saved our lives. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. And after the overnight stay, we were all shaken. We didn't know we were going to come out of it alive. We all finally did okay, and we continued on. And when we went back over that road, we saw all these guys hanging out of the tanks, burned to death, and
Really?
yeah, it was a terrible
This
situation.
this is long before the Battle of the Bulge.
That's right. I'm going to get to that too.
Okay.
So our company, Third Army, went directly, made a left turn and went directly across the heart of France, going east.
Mhm.
The next town was Toulon, Le Mans, and we ended up in Nancy, France, which was a beautiful little community, almost close to the Luxembourg border.
Mhm.
Now, we stopped there because the terrain was so bad the tanks couldn't move. And as a result, what happened was we had to go up to Liège, Belgium to get these couplings, so that we would weld these couplings to extend the width of the tanks,
Oh, I see.
threads.
The tracks weren't wide enough, were they?
Yeah, they weren't wide enough. The
they
Germans
went
had
to
tanks
Liège.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
they had tanks this wide,
Really?
yeah, the Germans. And so anyway.
What made a tank better to operate when it had a wider track? It just
Well, they
didn't
were
sink
able to
into
go
the mud?
through anything.
Yeah.
But the difference between our tanks and their tanks, we had a very maneuverable tanks. They could move fast. And
That's the Sherman tank.
Sherman tanks,
Yeah.
yeah. And we used to repair them too. If they had any problem. And that was the incident. There was an incident when we met George Pat. I'll tell you that incident.
Yeah.
They were moving so fast that the ammunition dumps were left behind, and the military guys are going forward, and they couldn't catch up with where the lines were. So, because of the fact that we had vehicles and what have you, we used our trucks to get the ammunition and move them up front before the Red Ball Express got together.
Yeah.
You remember the Red
Right.
Ball? Okay.
Red Ball Express, right?
Yeah. So what happened was, we had 7 trucks, a lieutenant, and Bob Cohen, kid from Watertown,
Yeah.
driving the lieutenant, and they would lead the convoy. And my lieutenant saw some apples in a store piled up, so he thought he'd go in there and get some apples for us to take back to camp. In the opposite direction comes a guy and squeaks on the Jeep, squeaks, and who is it, George? It's George Patton.
Patton.
He said to our lieutenant, "Get these goddamn guys out of here. I'll send you down to the front lines, and I'll send the rest of you guys down to the front lines. You can get this equipment down there." And that was the last time I saw him.
Really?
And the little young kid wanted to go up and get some chocolates from him. He
Yeah.
says, "Get the hell out of here." It's the kid. Honest to God, that's the type of guy he was.
Really?
Those are 2 incidents that I remember about George
Yeah.
Patton, and there's another incident.
This is
I'll tell you.
when you were trying to get ammunition up to the front lines.
Push-up,
up front. Yeah.
And
Okay.
then the Red Ball Express came into
Yes. Came into being later.
came in better, and then
Yeah.
they kept on, moving
Okay.
everything up front,
Okay.
because he was going so fast.
Really?
But we ended up in Nancy, France, for 2 weeks. We couldn't move.
Mhm.
And I got a picture of George Patton that one of my comrades took. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yeah.
Of him in Nancy, France, coming out of Red Cross.
Is that where they have that incident with the soldier?
No,
No.
that particular area is right here.
Yeah.
There's the original picture of George Patton standing right there.
Why don't we just turn this around so the camera can get it? Okay, go
This is the
ahead.
original picture. I blew it up here, and there's George Patton right here.
Okay,
And that's his vehicle.
and that's in
And that-
Nancy, France.
Nancy, France, he was coming out of the Red Cross headquarters.
Okay,
So,
all right. Very good.
yeah.
Okay, so
So,
what happened after that?
now, what happened after that, I have pictures of us all being in the mud. That was in Nancy, France, because there's some pictures of mud we took.
Yeah.
So, we stayed there about 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
And then, it was just right after that time that Paul Masubian and 4 of my comrades went out from our company out to repair a anti-aircraft gun.
Okay, tell me about that incident in which Paul Masubian, after whom our post is named,
Right.
tell us the incident that cost him his life. Tell us what happened.
All right, tell you. Our responsibility was that if there was an anti-aircraft gun damaged, that we'd send fellows out there to repair the anti-aircraft guns. Now, they could be miles and miles away from our company, and pretty close to the front lines.
Right.
So, 5 of our men, one guy was named O'Callahan, it was Chiama, Blasucci, Paul Masubian, another fellow, I can't remember his name, from the western part of the state. So they go out there and they finish repairing the gun, everything is fine, and they're ready to come home, come back to our outfit.
Right.
It was the evening, it was dark, so the commander of the anti-aircraft company said to them, look, instead of going home to your company tonight, stay overnight and leave tomorrow, and it'll be daylight and you'll be okay. And that's exactly what they did. It was a building size of a grammar school building, 2 stories high,
Right.
and had plenty of room for them to sleep there. And that's what they did. At 1:30 in the morning, following morning, the building exploded. The Germans had left about an hour before that and booby-trapped the building. And the building just came down on Polly and 3 of my comrades.
Do you think that the building was booby-trapped to go off
Yes.
on a timer?
Yeah.
And they didn't check to see
No.
if there was any timer
No.
there or anything else?
No.
They just thought it was okay?
Yeah, just like we went into a lot of buildings before and nothing like that
Yeah.
ever happened.
They just killed them right off the bat?
Yeah.
Did you actually see the building blow up, or did you?
No, what happened was our captain and Bob Cohen had to go and identify the bodies,
Right.
and they went there and they saw Polly, and you know, nothing had happened to Polly's head or anything like that. He just, probably from suffocation, he probably
Uh-huh.
died.
And what do they do? Did they have a ceremony there, or did they ship them back, or what?
What happened was, there's a cemetery, an army cemetery in Thionville, France.
And where?
Thionville.
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 Yeah, okay.
And his body was buried there.
Oh, so he wasn't brought back?
No,
Okay.
his body was buried in Thionville.
Okay. Have you ever been there, back there?
Yes, I was. I'll tell you that story.
Go ahead.
So, what happened was, our captain came back and he told us about what happened. He said, I never wanted anybody in our company to lose their lives, and I feel bad I have to report the situation. And that guy was really the wonderful
Yeah.
captain we had. And that was the time we found out that Polly had died.
How did you get to know how to repair these anti-aircraft guns?
Well, most of the guys in our company, we went to Aberdeen.
Was it like on-the-job training, or when you
we
went to Aberdeen, you know?
Yeah, they went to Aberdeen,
I see.
and I went to Aberdeen. And see,
Did you actually operate the anti-aircraft guns?
They did. I didn't.
You didn't?
My job was that we had an azimuth, they call it azimuth, which was hooked up to the anti-aircraft gun, and the azimuth would follow the plane, and the plane would, the guns would go along with the azimuth and shoot
I see.
in front of the plane. But we didn't need that because the German Air Force was,
It was kaput.
no German Air Force.
Yeah.
So what they gave me, they assigned me to a truck to go back and forth and get the supplies from the place where you get our food,
I
like
see.
potatoes and
I see.
everything like that to bring
I see.
back.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so now, all right, that's Nancy France.
That's Nancy France. Okay.
And
Where did
then-
you go from there?
Then we went to, just before that, because Polly was killed, it was December 12th, 1944.
44. 6
And-
months after the invasion.
Then we proceeded to go to Luxembourg.
Mhm.
And from Luxembourg, we went down to Frankfurt, and we went right across down to Munich, and the war ended in April
In April of 45.
of 45.
Yeah. Well, during that trip that you went, you were involved in actual combat?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Just before when we got into Luxembourg, then we had to go to Alsace-Lorraine, which is south of part of France, in the eastern part.
Yes?
And That's when the bulge started. That was in
Yes.
December.
Yes.
And they were short of men. So in our company, they took 10% of our guys. We had 156 guys in our company. They took 10% of our guys. They took about 17 people,
Yeah.
and they shipped them up the north. And one of those guys was Bill Eordekian, and he got wounded up there, by the way. And it was awful cold at that time, too.
Yes.
And the rest of them survived.
I see.
And Bill survived also.
Okay. Is he living today?
Yeah.
Keeping in mind that this is May of 2002, Bill has still survived.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did General Patton have any qualms about keeping his unit together?
Well, of course, at that time, we were still a unit. We were waiting to go to the Pacific as a
see.
Third Army because they wanted to get the war over with. So we were just waiting.
You were waiting to be transshipped.
Yeah, after finishing the war, making it okay. Now
Yeah.
they're telling us, get ready, you're going to go to the
You're
Pacific.
going to go to Pacific. Oh my
So-
God.
Guess what? August of 1945, they dropped the bomb.
Dropped the bomb,
Yeah.
and that was that.
Now, let me, before you
Okay.
go any further,
Go ahead.
you know, I hear a lot of these pacifists and what have you talking about the fact, oh, it's a terrible thing that the Americans dropped a bomb on top of the Japs and killed all these people. Well,
Yeah.
if they didn't do that, the war would have never been over. I would have to probably lose my life trying to settle that situation there.
I'm sure.
And what happened was, they were not present and understood that we were young kids wanting to get home,
Yeah.
that we were very happy that everything was all over. So, we, I was-
Very few of you thought of making a career of the Army,
Yeah, that's right. Not me, I just want to get out there.
because today we have a volunteer Army.
I
And people
understand
make a
that.
career out of it, but in
Yeah.
those days, you just wanted to get the war over with and come home.
Yeah, I was 22 years old at that time, and I had a career in baseball.
Uh-huh.
I had signed a contract with the New York Giants. I mean, it was the New York
New York
Giants.
Giants.
And I was anxious to get back. And when the New York Giants used to come into Braves Field, I used to work out with them during practice.
This is before the war?
This was after the war.
After the war?
Yeah, that
I
was
see.
after the war, 1946. I'm going a little ahead of myself.
Okay, that's okay.
But anyways, I was dying to get home,
Uh-huh. Okay.
get started. I never smoked. I used to give my carton of cigarettes to all the boys, and they used to be fighting for the cigarettes.
Yes. And in those days, a
Yeah.
carton of cigarettes was like $1, wasn't it?
Hardly anything.
Hardly anything.
Hardly.
Okay.
They were given to us free, if you want to know the truth.
Really?
Matter of fact, the cigarettes, there was a evacuation center, a place of embarkation in Antwerp, Belgium. It was named Lucky Strike Camp, Chesterfield Camp, and Camel Camp.
Uh-huh.
That's where,
That's
I mean,
where
that
all the
was such a
cigarettes were
very,
given.
very important thing in those days, the cigarettes.
Really?
Today, look what's happening.
But you didn't learn how to smoke. Did you drink coffee before you went into the service?
No,
But you learned,
no, then,
right?
yeah. I tell
And
you,
alcohol?
no. Yeah,
You never-
well, I'm gonna tell you a story about that alcohol.
Okay.
We were in a little town of France, and we were billeted there because it was awful cold. And we noticed that down the basement was cases and cases of wine.
Yeah.
So we said, well, let's start drinking, have a good time here. So that's exactly what we did. And we drank the wine, the company, they were all sick, and it was wine that was unfermented yet.
Ah,
And we're
yes.
drinking this, and I said to the Lord, God, if I ever get through with this, I will never drink
You never drink another cup of wine again.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was a
Did
part
it
of my
taste
life.
funny, or
No, it tasted good,
is it
but,
okay?
but it was
It was
wasn't
unfermented, it
yeah.
wasn't ready to be drank.
So maybe that's why the Germans didn't take all those wines.
Could
I don't
be.
know.
Could be.
So
Could be.
I never drank. No.
Okay. Well, you say that naturally in combat you're scared.
Well, fright.
And today, people even today take drugs.
Oh,
In Vietnam, they were taking drugs to calm
see,
down
nothing
and
like
so
that.
forth. You
Nothing
never had
like
anything like that?
Nothing like that ever existed in my time.
Yeah.
Nothing. The only thing that was #2 beer. That's all I used to drink.
All you have beer.
That's all.
Uh-huh.
Never
Okay.
knew what drugs were all about.
Okay.
Nothing. This is something new.
So, from there, where did you check out of the army?
Well, first we landed in Munich.
Munich. How did you like Munich?
Beautiful city.
But had it been destroyed?
Hardly ever.
Really?
Yeah, it was a very well-kept city.
Oh,
Because I don't think there was anything specific military importance there.
Yeah. Well, of
Now,
course, they make a lot of cameras there.
What happened was, they gave us an offer, I'm gonna tell you a story
Mhm.
how I saw Paul
Go ahead.
Masubian's grave. They gave us an opportunity, they said, we're gonna give you a vacation for 7 days, we're gonna put you on a train in Munich, and we're gonna have you go down to Cannes, France, southern part of France, for 7 days. Now, we're gonna have a stop in Thionville, you can get out and you can see the military grave.
Right.
And that's what I did. I got out of the train, they gave us 3 hours to come back.
Mhm.
I went to the military cemetery, I saw Paul Masubian's grave,
You did.
yeah, O'Callahan's grave, and also Siana's grave. Three of
And
my...
Were any of these boys with you?
No,
Miran, Sabunjan, or
no,
anything?
no, you know, at that time, they broke our company up.
They broke your company up.
So, I don't know where Miran went, I don't know where Bill King, I know he went to the Bulge, and
Yeah.
some of the other guys. We were only 2 guys left together, this guy, O'Connor, and myself.
Uh-huh.
And, but that's how I saw
I see.
Paul Masubian.
Okay. And then from there, where did you go from Munich?
From Munich, they shipped us on train to Antwerp, Belgium.
And from there?
We were at Camp Campbell,
Camp Camel.
Yeah.
That was in Antwerp?
Antwerp,
Okay, so you had all the cigarettes you wanted.
right,
You never smoked. You gave yours out.
yeah,
You didn't drink.
didn't drink,
But you did drink coffee.
did drink
Do you
coffee.
drink coffee now?
Very rarely.
What's that? Would that be in preference to tea, for instance?
No, I didn't like tea and I don't like coffee. My brothers, coffee drinkers,
Yeah.
you know,
They probably learned in the service.
yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, landed in Antwerp, Belgium, I had a Luger gun,
Uh-huh.
I had a picture of George Patton. By the way, this is a unique story.
Yeah.
Patton said, when I get to the Rhine, I'm gonna pee in the Rhine.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a picture of George Patton on a pontoon bridge,
Yeah.
peeing into the Rhine. Honest to God. I'm gonna tell you a story
Yeah,
about
go
that
ahead.
too.
Go ahead.
And then I had a Luger gun and I had another Czech gun and I had a Leica camera that I had taken from the Germans.
Right.
Now, we get on this ship with 350 guys in a hole in a Liberty ship, a very small ship.
Yeah.
The minute we get onto the English Channel, I got seasick. I mean, I got seasick, you wouldn't know how, I
Yeah.
got seasick. Well, it took us 22 days to leave Antwerp, Belgium to get to New York City.
Uh-huh.
22 days.
Well, you took the Liberty ship from Antwerp directly to New York, or did you go through London?
Directly to New York.
Directly to New York.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and let me tell you, for 22 days, I was in sick bay and I lost about 35 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
It's an awful lousy way to lose weight.
Oh, I tell you, 30, all right.
Okay.
And on December 22nd, 1945, we got a SOS communications that George Patton was killed.
Uh-huh.
Most of the guys were all Third Army guys.
Yes.
And guess what we all said? They killed him.
Mm.
That was the first reaction on everybody on the ship, that they killed him because he was a person that if he came to the United States was going to cause all kinds of problems.
Uh-huh.
Because he didn't like the Russians.
Yes.
Hated the Russians.
You saw the movie Patton.
Right.
Do you think that's a pretty good portrayal of him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he distrusted the Russians.
Distrusted them.
Yeah.
He was mad he couldn't get in there before the Russians. The Russians didn't let him get into Berlin, or Eisenhower didn't let him get into Berlin because he said, let the Germans, let the Russians get in, let them
right.
get the hero and all that.
There are many books on that
Yeah.
area.
Well,
So when you came back to the States,
yeah,
what did you do?
we landed in,
Well, that's the end of the tape, because you can see the rest. Okay, this is tape number 2. We're interviewing Hovey Eordekian on Friday, May 3, 2002. And the last we left off was that you had seen Paul Marsupian's grave in France. What was the name of the city?
Thionville.
Thionville?
Right.
Thionville, France. Okay, let's pick it up from there.
All right, well,
And then you had boarded the ship from Antwerp, one of the Liberty ships. Took 22 days to get to the United States. Okay, let's pick it up from
but
there.
before I continue,
Go ahead.
can I say one thing?
Sure.
At the time when Paulie Marsupian got killed, of course, the parents didn't know about it right away. So it took us, we got together, all the guys from Watertown, and said, let's write home and tell them everything's okay. We were not where Paulie was, so they wouldn't think that we all got killed.
Okay.
So that was,
You said that you repeatedly wrote letters to your parents.
every day we wrote a letter saying, I'm okay, I'm okay. And then, of
Okay.
course, when Paulie Marsupian's father and mother got the telegrams telling that he had got killed, then they understood what we were talking about.
Okay.
Because they didn't know what we were trying to do.
Yes, yes.
But after the war, I explained to my mother and father what happened.
Did you explain to Paul's parents?
Oh, yeah. And another thing, too. I'll tell you that
Go
story.
ahead.
So, all right, now we get into New York City, and we park right beside the aircraft carrier Enterprise.
Enterprise.
Big ship right beside us.
Yeah.
And we were a little tugboat beside them.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so they put us on the train and they take us to Fort Downs to be discharged. We got
And
into,
when was this?
we got into New York on New Year's Day, December 31st,
Of 40.
45.
Okay.
And then we got shipped over to Fort Devens. Within 5 days, we were discharged. Quick.
That was
Couldn't believe
great.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I want to get back to a story on. I just forgot what I was going to say.
You were a tugboat next to the carrier
Yeah.
Enterprise,
Yeah.
and you pulled in.
Yeah.
You were going to get discharged.
Yeah. They were almost carrying me off the ship because I lost 30 pounds, 35 pounds.
All right. Okay.
And anyways, we got discharged. I got discharged on the 5th of January, and I was home.
Uh-huh.
They
Okay.
gave us $350, and I joined the 5220 Club. You familiar with that?
Yes, that's the unemployment.
Unemployment.
Yeah.
We used to get a check, $20 a week,
For 52
52
weeks.
They call it the
Okay.
5220 Club,
And that's the maximum benefit you got?
maximum benefit.
But you also had educational
Right.
benefits if you wanted to take
I
advantage
went,
of it.
to Holy Cross.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, and how long did you go there?
Well, I was there from 1947 to 51. I graduated there a degree in business administration.
And what kind of benefits did the service give you there?
Well, they used to pay us $90 a month for living expenses.
Was that adequate?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And they gave us money for our books, and they paid for our tuition.
Mhm.
And at that time, tuition at Holy Cross was $1,500 a year.
Yeah,
Today it's $35,000.
I know.
$35,000.
When I went to Tufts, the tuition there was $650 per quarter, which would make it $2,500 a year.
Yeah.
Now it's like $20,000.
Yeah.
Oh.
I lived on campus.
Okay. Did they take care of your living expenses?
Oh,
Or was
yeah.
that $90 enough?
That was plenty.
$90 in
I
those
was
days.
living like a king.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And you weren't married at the time, were you?
No,
Okay. And so you graduated from Holy Cross after 4 years of education
right,
with a degree in business administration.
right.
Okay. And how was your life after that? How did you feel about the war when you went in?
Well, I tell you the truth. Other than the fact that first experience we had in Avalanches, the war was just like a country club to us, because we were behind
You're behind the lines.
behind the lines.
I see. But you did see what combat was about.
Oh yeah, we did. We captured people, and
Yeah.
we transported them,
Right.
and so we were familiar with what was going on. But the life over there was terrible because during a wartime, anything goes.
Yeah.
They were selling their daughters to get coffee.
Yeah.
They were selling their wives to get cigarettes. I mean, they were doing crazy things like that.
Tell me, did you see any of the POW camps, death camps, or anything like that? Okay. And you were pretty close to the combat, although you were never in
Yeah,
combat.
we were always close to the combat, but they were moving faster. We were trying to catch up to them all the time.
Yeah, so that's the major major thing I get. That is, the tanks, the Sherman tanks, were so fast
Yeah.
that the supplies couldn't keep up with them.
Exactly.
And is it your feeling that the Panzer tanks, the much bigger tanks, were not that fast?
They
Or
were
maneuverable?
powerful,
They're
but
powerful,
not maneuverable.
not maneuverable. I see. Okay. And did you have any particular feeling about the war?
Yeah, I couldn't wait to get home because I wanted to get started because I had an opportunity to go professional baseball.
Right.
And I never had that opportunity, and when I became, when I had a tryout with the Giants, they said to me I was too old. I was 22 years old. They called me old. They were looking for 16, 17-year-old kids.
So when you came back,
Yeah,
your immediate plans were to go to New York Giants.
right.
I see.
And what I did was I played up in the Northern League in Vermont, like the summer of 1946 or 47.
Is that like a farm team?
Yes, it was like the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Did they pay you for that?
They used to pay me $400 a month.
$400 a month.
$400 a month. But we were doing work, but we weren't doing work. You know, and it wasn't considered a professional league. But out of that league, we had two guys that went to the big leagues. It was Johnny Antonelli. I don't know if people remember.
Yes.
And Robin Roberts, who became a Hall of Famer,
Yes.
was in that league that I played with.
Really?
Yeah. And instead of continuing on baseball, I was 27 at that time,
Yeah.
I got married.
I see. And is it after that that you went to Holy Cross, or?
No, I went to
Holy Cross
from
before.
1947 to 1951, and I got married June 17th, 1951, to a lovely girl,
Okay.
Rachel Stephen.
Okay. And
Essel.
how were your an Asuri?
Essel.
I see. Okay. What was your? Did you have any social interaction? You say that you felt that other than your experiences in combat, it was like a country club. But
To me it was, yeah.
did you interact with the local people over there?
No, we couldn't do that.
Germans?
No.
French or
We
anything
were
like that?
prohibited to do that.
Okay.
With the French we did, because we used to live with the French people in the wintertime. I'll give you a little story.
Did they appreciate your being there?
Oh, yeah, because, you know, I handled all the food and what have you, and I was living in a house for about a week with this French family. There was a mother, two girls, 14 and 10, and a grandmother.
Yeah.
And just to give you a little story on that, it was in Thionville, by the way.
Thionville.
Thionville. And I used to supply them with flour, sugar, potatoes, and what have you. And what happened was the neighbors in the area knew about what I was doing because they could smell the bakery and stuff like that
Oh, yes.
going.
Right.
And when I came back to Thionville, I came to visit those people, and I asked them where the grandmother was, and they said the grandmother had died because when they were away, they came in the house, they ransacked the house looking for the food that I had left them.
Oh, really?
And the grandmother died during that process.
Oh, my
I
God.
mean, yeah, it was a story I couldn't believe,
Yeah.
because the people were just, I mean, people are not the same when it's peacetime. When it's war, it's everybody for themselves.
Yeah.
So they ransacked the place, they took the potatoes, they took the flowers that I had left them.
Were most of the soldiers the same way? In other words, did they feel compassionate towards these people that didn't have anything and share their rations with them or share their food?
Well, we
and
did,
things?
you know, when we were in Germany, there were people that would stand with number 10 cans, wait for us to throw our rubbish into barrels.
Yeah.
They'd be waiting to take our leftover food for their regular food. They
Really?
would have food,
It was
yeah.
that bad?
And I was very happy to give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
We all were.
And they were thankful.
Yes, very thankful.
For whatever
They
they
were,
could
they were
do.
professional people, you know, they were
Yes. Yeah.
nice people.
Okay. Now we're recording this in May of 2002. Who knows what will happen in the future? And we're recording this for the purpose of seeing giving a message to those who follow us, the younger people. In the year 2050, I'm sure there's going to be some conflict into which someone is going to be asked to serve. What do you have to say to them about the United States and about our position with the rest of the world?
Well, I tell you, to me, we did a lot of things to help different nations get on their feet. I'm very disappointed in with the reaction that some of these countries have towards the Americans, that they just don't like us. I remember when I was in the service, Americans were Americans. I mean, we were like God. But once they get their country back, they forgot who helped them get their country back. In particular, I'm talking about France.
Yeah, yeah. But of course, France has now given us these certificates of appreciation, so it's a gesture.
Yeah. But there was no appreciation that way there.
I see.
But I would say this to those that follow me: it's the greatest country in the world. I don't care what you hear on the TV and what you're hearing overseas. God bless America.
Do you feel that you were in any way repaying the United States for the benefits bestowed upon your parents who came from overseas? Do you have any feelings of that nature?
Say that again now.
Our parents came from overseas,
Right.
and they came to a wonderful country that was generous to them, gave them opportunity, and they forged ahead.
Right.
Did you feel that you were in any way repaying the United States for the opportunities enjoyed by your parents?
Sure. Yeah, I was very happy to.
Where your parents come from, by the way?
My mother came from Gudin, Turkey.
Gudin?
Yeah.
Oh, she's a Gudinsi.
Gudinsi.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah,
Okay.
and my father's a Marasi.
Marasi.
Right.
Ah, yes, yes.
Now, my mother and father met each other in Attleboro, and my mother didn't know how to speak Turkish, and my mother and father didn't know how to speak Armenian. So after many months together, they began to understand one another.
I see.
Brought 3 kids into the world.
So they married in Attleboro.
Attleboro, right?
Okay. And I'm sure they were proud of you when you came back,
I hope so.
and I'm sure that they were sorry that no, they were fearful when you went into the service.
Yes.
Okay. And how long did you know Paul Masoubian?
I know him all my life.
Really? Did you go to school with
He
him?
lived on Hazel Street. Yeah, he lived on Hazel Street, and I lived on East Boylston Street and Dexter Avenue.
Oh, yes.
And then I moved to West Boylston Street, 111 West Boylston Street, and we all lived together.
So you all lived together
Yeah,
up till the time that he died.
yeah. I was very familiar with Paul before we got into the service.
What kind of a person was he?
He was a wonderful kid. He was I would say the court.
Joker?
He was the court jester of our company. He would imitate Hitler. He would do things to relax us and forget what's going on. I remember when we were coming back, when we were coming to France over the canal there, he was making all kinds of, putting on shows to relax us.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were playing cards one time, and one of the kids lost $10. And they said, Paulie, could you lend me $10? He said, just a minute. So we got a cigar, put it in his mouth, lit the $10 bill he had, and he said, yeah, you can have a cigar, you can have the $10, and we started smoking with that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the type of guy he was.
He was an entertainer.
He was an entertainer.
Did you have any professional entertainers? Like Viatek Forian was a professional entertainer. It's in our post. You never saw any of that stuff, like Bob Hope?
Oh yeah, I saw Bob Hope. I'll tell you what I saw. I saw Bob Hope, and I saw Bing Crosby in the Mojave Desert. They put on the show for us. I saw Ingrid Bergman and the German actress. What was her name?
Betty Grable. Lana
Oh,
Turner.
you know who I saw in the USO club? I saw the most beautiful girl, Maureen O'Hara.
Maureen O'Hara.
I looked at Maureen O'Hara, and I just couldn't believe it.
Really?
She was sitting right across from me, and she handed me some donuts.
Really?
Yeah. And I almost, you know.
How did this affect you? Did it?
I felt comfortable.
Felt good.
Yeah.
You think it's a good thing for them to entertain the troops?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without
You
a
needed
doubt.
that kind of entertainment.
Oh, you need that. Takes you to forget the things.
Forget your war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marlene Dietrich.
You saw Marlene Dietrich?
Yeah, she put on the show,
Yeah.
and she used to play a saw, and that was her
yes.
instrument.
Yeah.
And she was a very talented woman. She was great.
Really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Marlene Dietrich.
Yeah. Now, what about the facilities that you had? Did you live in tents? Did you live in barracks? Did you live in buildings?
When we originally went to to Fort Bliss, we lived in a tent, and in the middle of the tent was a gas jet, and it was 6 men sleeping in that unit.
Mhm.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
Then we went to the desert, and we slept in tents, six
Tents
guys,
again.
but we slept on the dirt,
Mhm.
and comfortable,
Yeah.
no problem,
How was the food?
excellent,
You never had any problems with hot food
no problems at all.
until you got into the field.
Even when we got into the field, we used to have real food.
Good food.
Yeah, the only time we had K rations and things like that is if these guys went on a trip to repair a gun,
Yeah.
they'd take K rations with them, and they'd eat that, and then come back to the company. But in the meantime, my job was to bring the food to our kitchen,
I see.
and it was frozen food, potato, all fresh stuff.
Very good.
Yeah,
And how about your ammunition? Did you carry sidearms, machine guns, bazookas?
I carried a carbine. It was a very light gun, 16.
How many? 16?
16.
I think I have a carbine at home just
Yeah?
like that. Yeah.
No
yeah.
kidding.
It's a naval carbine.
Yeah, you all right?
Very light. Very
Yeah.
light. And they carried the
Oh,
30-06.
here's a story I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
While I was in sick bay, when we coming overseas, coming back home, somebody stole my Luger, somebody stole a picture of Patton I had,
Oh.
and somebody stole my Leica camera.
Oh my
They went
God.
into my duffel bag, because
Oh.
I was sleeping in the quarters.
Oh,
They
yeah.
took all my
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
and I want to put that in there too, that
Yeah.
it's all stolen from me.
Wow, that's
I had
that
a
seems
Luger,
that seems to
German
be,
Luger I got off from
Really?
the officer, yeah.
that's the 38, isn't it?
38,
Yeah.
beautiful gun,
Beautiful gun.
yeah.
And of course, they weren't inspecting you for contraband when you came home.
That's what they said to us, if you get caught with that stuff, we're not gonna send you home.
Ah.
So I said, I'll take my chances. Say they didn't even
Okay.
look in the back.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Because we are
No?
about to wrap it up,
No?
and we want to thank Hovey Eordekian
Yeah.
for giving us this interview and oral history. And we're going to combine this with the oral history of other veterans to make sure that those who follow us will learn from the lessons that these veterans have gone through.
Greg, I wanna thank you
Thank
very
you.
much
Yeah.
for giving me the opportunity to tell my story. I don't know if it's gonna be, good for everybody, but I really appreciate you giving me my time, and I appreciate what you're doing, because this is gonna be a great thing for the kids coming after us.
Well, it's been a pleasure for me, and it's been very wonderful because the post 41M vets have supported us all the way through,
Good.
and they're providing the facilities and the equipment to do this, and this is a wonderful way to preserve history for our veterans.
I
I'll
appreciate
shut this
it.
camera off. Okay, good.
Okay. Thank you.
I didn't think that battery was charged up, frankly, but apparently it's done its job.
Okay, great.
So we're going to stop this.